Hello everyone, this is part 6 of What If Naruto Awakens the Rinnegan, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Wind Country, Northern Forest. They had set up camp later that night, thinking it wouldn't be a good idea to continue on at night. They were all exhausted from their earlier confrontation with Akatsuki and knew it was only a matter of time before they extracted Shukaku and killed Gaara. They needed rest if they were going to be able to save the teenage Kazekage before the deadline tomorrow afternoon. The campfire sparked slightly from the wood it burned and its flames rising slightly. Yamato and Chio had already fallen asleep while the rest of them were sitting quietly around the campfire. Are you going to tell me now? Naruto's voice cut through the silence. Tayuya looked at him with veiled fear. What do you think, Shitstain? I think you're an Uzumaki, but I was told all of them died in Whirlpool Country. Now I find out that not only you have the Rinnegan but also the leader of Akatsuki has as well. What the hell am I supposed to think here? Naruto demanded. Well, I am an Uzumaki, but... Tayuya trailed off, not knowing how to continue. But what? Naruto questioned. My parents were Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina. I'm kinda she was cut off. You're my sister. Bullshit, Naruto said simply. You're really expecting me to believe after all these years that I have a long-lost sister who's been Rikido knows where and now you come back? The two females were quieted at that. It's the truth, Naruto, Yugito told him, causing his head to snap towards her. Do not start with me, Yugito. I'm mad at you too. You should have told me the moment I got back, not waited until we're in the middle of an S-rank mission to throw this at me, Naruto shot back. Hey, lay off her, she didn't say anything because I asked her not to, Tayuya explained, drawing his gaze back to her. I was captured by Orochimaru during a raid on Iwa after our parents died and I ended up in Konoha 3 years ago. Ero Hokage offered me a job as a kunoichi of Konoha and I took it, so here I am. Naruto just stared at her for a good 10 seconds before standing up and walking away without a word. Don't take it too personally, Tayuya, Yugito told the ex-Oto nin. He just needs time to come to terms with this. I'm sure he'll accept you in no time. He's a good guy and I've never known him hold a grudge before. I hope you're right. His mind was in turmoil. He had a sister, a living relative of close relation, one he didn't even know about until today. His first thoughts were of betrayal, then anger at being lied to, and finally landing on confusion. What was he supposed to do? They were strangers and yet they were family. Then again, that could be said about him and Tsunade as well. He wished Ero Sennin was here, at least his godfather might have some useful advice for this bizarre situation he had found himself in. Then there was Yugito to consider. He didn't know what to think where she was concerned. He liked her, there was no denying that, but he knew he couldn't afford to grow attached to her. I mean, after what happened with Sasuke and Sakura, you couldn't exactly blame him. Those two traitors had a lot to answer for themselves. If there was one thing Naruto hated the most, it was traitors. Those who abandoned those close to them, no matter the reason, were not worth anything in his book, even if that reason was justified. Then there was Akatsuki to consider also. The leader of Akatsuki seemed to have the Rinnegan if what Kisame said could be believed. He couldn't be sure if the swordsman was telling the truth or not, but he had detected no hint of deception. If that was true, then Akatsuki was more of a threat than anyone had ever realized, himself included. Naruto shook himself in his futon. He had been getting off track again. For now, his first priority was to rescue Gaara and return him to Suna-controlled territory while at the same time dealing with the Akatsuki agents assigned to capture the Ichibi. That's all there is to it. Wind Country, Northern Caves. The team dropped down from the trees and appeared in front of what looked like some kind of red arch. Beyond it was a cliff with a boulder blocking a tunnel, and on the boulder was a paper seal of some kind. Naruto recognized it easily. It looks like a Gofu Kekai. 1 second. He looked around with his Rinnegan activated. Okay, I can see chakra papers in 4 directions around us and 3 chakra cores beyond this boulder. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 4 clones appeared at his side and each with a Rinnegan. I'm never going to get used to seeing in more than one direction at once, Naruto said as the clones took off into the trees. What are you planning on doing? Yugito asked him. Bringing down the barrier, Naruto replied and jumped up to where the seal on the boulder was located. He grabbed hold of it and waited for the clones to get into position. Once he saw the clones rip their own seals off, he did the same and the barrier fell a moment later. Naruto jumped down and formed several hand seals. Goten, Dorukatsu, Naruto whispered, and the boulder split apart to allow him entry. Well, that's one way to knock, Tayuya quipped as they entered. You're a little late, we've been waiting 5 whole minutes, a voice said, annoyed. 3 figures were seen in the now illuminated cavern. The first was a blonde man with mouths in his palms and wore the signature Akatsuki cloak. The second figure was a hunched-back man who wore a mask over his face. The final figure was lying on the ground behind the pair. After a moment, Naruto spotted that the figure had red hair and assumed it was Gaara, though with the lighting in the cave being minimal it was difficult to tell. Gaara, Naruto whispered upon seeing the teenage Kazekige's unmoving form. The little runt was tough, but he still fell in the end. Now which of you are the Kyuubi and Nibi Jinchuriki? Deidara asked with a smile. Who do you think, assholes? Yugito shot back. Give Gaara back now, Naruto demanded. Deidara chuckled and turned to his partner. I know you don't want to hear this, Sasori, but let me play with the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. No, I will face the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. You've already fought the Ichibi Jinchuriki, so you can have the Nibi this time, Sasori told him simply. Goten, Dorukatsu, Naruto slammed his palm into the ground and the earth split in 2, separating the 2 Akatsuki members. Bansho Tenon, Tayuya followed this up instantly and pulled Gaara towards her. She caught him a moment later as the Akatsuki agents recovered. I believe he told you to give the Sandman back to us, you fuckers. That was very rude, Deidara commented in annoyance. Focus, Deidara, Sasori stated. Art is an explosion, the former Iwanin responded. Yamato, take Gaara and the old hag and get out of here. Head for Suna. Hopefully they've sent someone to back us up, Naruto ordered. Good luck. Yamato nodded and dashed out of the cave with the unmoving form of Gaara in his arms and Shio close behind. You're going to pay for this, you bastards, Naruto stated clearly and cracked his neck. Yugito, Tayuya, you two deal with the gender-confused weirdo over there while I deal with this doll-loving prick. Alone? Yugito asked him. Naruto nodded as his eyes flashed red. I won't be holding anything back. It's too cramped in here. I think I'll take my art outside, Deidara said as he created a dragon made of clay. He jumped on its back and it took off a moment later. It flew out of the cave entrance and arched away with Yugito and Tayuya in pursuit. Come on, let's go after him, Tayuya shouted, and they took to the trees. Back in the cave, Naruto and Sasori were staring each other down. It's just you and me now, Naruto said clearly. Sasori's cloak was cast off to reveal a massive scorpion-like puppet covering his body. What the fuck are you exactly? A puppet master. And this is my act. I call it Hirako, Sasori replied and launched a volley of kunai from his scorpion mouth. With his Rinnegan flaring slightly, Naruto evaded the volley and rolled to the side. You're too slow, old-timer, Naruto quipped as he finished his hand seals. Futon. Kazuyuden no Jutsu. He threw out a punch and a dragon made of wind shot out from his fist. I see the tales of your power are accurate, Sasori commented and dodged the wind dragon as it impacted where he had stood moments ago. Interesting wind jutsu. But then I expected nothing less from a wielder of the Rinnegan. The leader of Akatsuki has the Rinnegan, doesn't he? It wasn't a question. Who is he exactly? Naruto asked him. I do not know, Sasori replied uninterested. And you work for him? Naruto asked him. Sasori appeared to shrug slightly in his puppet. Fine art is something wonderful that's left long into the future, eternal beauty. I'll remember that when I carve it into your tombstone, Naruto said as shot forward. Let's go wild. Sasori held up his left arm and the arm itself shot off towards the oncoming blonde. Naruto dodged to the side at the last second and kept moving even as a wave of needles shot out of the mobile limb. Shinra Tensei, Naruto whispered and blew the needles away as he closed in on Sasori. I had forgotten about that gravity jutsu you Rinnegan users are capable of, Sasori said with the hint of irritation in his voice. A moment later he aligned his scorpion tail to pierce the blonde when he came within. My move. Kage Bunshin on jutsu, a shadow clone popped into existence beside Naruto and pulled him out of the way at the last second. The real Naruto was then able to sidestep the tail and attack directly. Rinnegan, he called out as he brought down the ball of spinning chakra on his opponent. Sasori's eyes widened as his scorpion puppet was reduced to a pile of scrap, forcing him to jump out of it and land a few feet away. The real Sasori stood, wearing his Akatsuki cloak over his body, as watched the blonde Konoha Jonin kick away the remains of the puppet he had just destroyed. You know, when Chio Awakens said you were her grandson, I pictured you being older, around Hokage-sensei's age. But you barely look 16, Naruto commented as his clone vanished in a puff of smoke. Like I said before, fine art is something wonderful that's left long into the future, Sasori said, smiling slightly. Naruto narrowed his eyes at that. You're immortal. Quote. Maybe, the puppeteer responded vaguely. Let me show you my favorite puppet, he continued as he pulled out a scroll. This one was very hard to finish, but I managed. There was a puff of smoke as Sasori released the seal in the scroll and extracted the object it had stored away. But that's what makes me so fond of him. The smoke died down to reveal a vaguely human puppet wearing a black cloak. What the hell is that thing? Naruto asked upon seeing the puppet. Allow me to introduce you to my favorite puppet. The Sandaime Kazekage, Sasori answered as the puppet twirled around him. A human puppet? Naruto asked, horrified. Eternal beauty is something I strive to create, Sasori said simply. Quote. That's an abomination and I'll destroy it. Here and now, Naruto snarled. You can try, Sasori responded and sent the puppet forward to attack the blonde. Naruto jumped back and evaded the strike from the blades connected to the puppet's right arm. He cursed a moment later as the Sandaime descended from above and slashed downwards, forcing him to jump further back. Here goes, Sasori exclaimed as he brought the puppet's left arm up and the panels onto open to reveal seals on the inside. Senju Sobu. Dozens of wooden arms erupted from the seals in a glow of blue chakra and shot towards the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Damn it, Naruto cursed and shifted his weight to the side. Shunpo no Jutsu, he disappeared in a flash of yellow as the arms struck his previous location and he reappeared on the other side of the cave. You're fast, Sasori commented upon seeing the blonde's speed. But you cannot fool the eyes of a puppet master. We pay very close attention to detail. Judging by the slight movement you made before you executed your jutsu, I would hazard a guess that it is a one-way jutsu, making you unable to make any deviation in your intended course. Then once you came out of your jutsu, you were forced to steady yourself slightly, indicating that your speed decreases rapidly at the end of transit. Am I wrong? Quote. So you figured it out. Give the guy a reward, Naruto shot back. Damn it, he won't fall for the same trick twice. I can't use that jutsu anymore or he'll just use it against me. Sasori smirked. Shall we continue? What looked like a swarm of black sand erupted from the Sandaime's mouth and floated into the air beside the puppet. Allow me to show you the power that the Sandaime Kazekage wielded, which made him the strongest Kazekage. The iron sand. This does not look good for my life expectancy, Naruto thought upon seeing the black sand move about in the air. Satetsu Shiga. Sasori shouted as the iron sand shot towards the blonde in a shower of metal. Doten, Doruheiki. Naruto exclaimed as he slammed his open hand on the ground beneath him. The ground in front of him rose up and created a wall between him and the oncoming hail of death. The iron sand slammed into the barrier repeatedly, but it held firm and protected the blonde from certain death. Insolent little child, Sasori grunted upon seeing his attack didn't have the effect he had desired. Is that the best you've got? Naruto shouted as he rested his back against the makeshift barrier. Satetsu Keshu, the puppeteer whispered, and the iron sand collected itself in midair to form a pair of objects. The first was a large hammer and the other was an equally large spear. Kyodai Tetsui. Oh crap, Naruto muttered and shot out of cover just as the barrier was knocked down by the hammer. Kyodaiso. Damn it, damn it, damn it, Naruto repeated as he rolled to the side, narrowly evading the large spear which lanced out at him. The iron sand suddenly backed off and was brought together near the ceiling. Now what? Prepare to die, Sasori said simply. Sorry, I'm not interested, Naruto told him and made a hand seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, two clones popped into existence beside him. He held out his hand towards the pair and they immediately started charging his next jutsu. The distinctive sound of explosions was heard as chakra and fire came together to form a quick spinning sphere in the palm of the blonde's open hand. He held it up towards the gathering of iron sand and it shot outward at high speeds. Kaiten, Raizenden. The fireball impacted the iron sand with a resounding bang before it exploded in a blast of heat and fire. The ceiling was blown away and the iron sand disintegrated a moment later. Sasori sent the blonde a glare once it was over and Naruto sent him a smirk in response. You shouldn't play with fire, you'll get burned, Naruto told him. A minor setback, I can always create more iron sand, Sasori told him. Naruto's smirk widened into a grin, don't you need the Sandime Kazekage for that? Sasori's eyes widened as he turned his attention to his favorite puppet, no. Rinnegan, another Naruto struck from above with a pair of spiraling spheres which destroyed the puppet and sent its remains clattering to the rubble-covered ground. You. Sasori said with venom lacing his voice as the Naruto that he had first thought was real puffed out of existence. You really thought I was going to let you get off another jutsu? Naruto taunted. Sasori grunted at that, you're quite the odd one Kyuubi Jinchuriki, fine. I haven't been forced to solve a problem this way since I first joined Akatsuki. I wonder how long it's been. The Akatsuki member shed his cloak revealing that his body definitely wasn't human any longer. You turned your own body into a puppet? Naruto asked when he saw the mix of wood, plastic and metal that was Sasori's body. It's been a while since I last used myself, the red-headed Akatsuki member stated. Wind country, northern caves. Sasori came in from the side with his two spinning blades rotating as he drew near. Naruto reacted instinctively and jumped over the attack only to get caught in the shoulder by the tail end of the cable that came at him next. He winced from the pain it caused but shrugged it off and took a look at his shoulder. It was green and he knew instantly what that meant. Your attacks are poisoned, Naruto stated. Of course. Sasori bellowed with a haunting look and pointed the tubes coming out of his hands at the blonde. Naruto ducked down under a patch of upturned earth as flames erupted from the tubes and blanketed over the area. The blonde cursed as used a kunai to open the wound in his shoulder up so it can let the poison out. Kyuubi's chakra was always slowed down whenever he was poisoned but thankfully the foul chakra was capable of destroying almost any poison in existence. The more deadly the poison the longer it would take to destroy it and quite frankly he just didn't have the time to wait for Kyuubi to destroy this particular poison. Naruto stood up and dashed out of cover, Sasori's flamethrowers trying to catch him as he did. The blonde jumped a moment later as high as he could go and formed several hand seals before taking a deep breath. Sasori's eyes widened as a massive blast of wind exploded from the blonde's mouth. Futon, Renkuden. The already destroyed cave was blown away by the explosion of wind. Nearby trees collapsed also and what was left would make a nice little lake in the future. Sasori's motionless and destroyed puppet form in the cluster of rubble. After a moment of silence Naruto sighed and turned to leave when he felt a shift in air behind him. Turning back swiftly he saw that Sasori's body was rebuilding itself and was soon capable of fighting again. What does it take to kill you? Naruto shouted. Sasori gave him a crazed look. Didn't I say that there was art in eternal beauty? He pulled out a scroll a moment later and opened it. AKA Higi, Hyaki no Soen, Naruto could only watch as 100 puppets appeared above them. Sasori put his right hand to his face and shook his head. I once destroyed an entire country with these. To think you've pushed me this far. Naruto quickly formed a hand seal and his form exploded in chakra. Taju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, exactly 100 shadow clones appeared all over the destroyed cave. Numbers mean nothing to me. Naruto shouted at the puppeteer. Sasori looked around with a crazed look on his face. So many clones? Once this is over I'll add your body to my collection. The number of clones you can call on a whim will be very helpful for me. I'm going to beat your wooden ass into the ground. Naruto shouted as he and his clones shot forward. I know Ero Sennin didn't want me to use this jutsu but I just can't think of any other way to make this guy stay down. You can try. Sasori shot back as his puppets charged. The clones and the puppets clashed as Naruto made his way through the battlefield. His clones intercepted the attacks that the puppets sent at him as he drew closer to his intended target. Two puppets came in front of him to block his path and he threw a single kunai through the rapidly closing gap towards Sasori. Once it was through, the kunai exploded in smoke and transformed into the real Naruto, Henge no Jutsu. He formed a hand seal and a pair of clones appeared, running at his side. When did he pull off a henge? Sasori asked in surprise as Naruto came at him. What is that jutsu? He asked in thought when he heard a bell-like screech vibrate through the air and a white shuriken-like object appear in the blonde's hand. Futon, Raisin Shuriken. Naruto called out as he drove the jutsu into the puppeteer's chest. There was a moment of silence before a deafening boom echoed through the area as Sasori was blown back and encased in a sphere of wind and power. The wind slashed and shredded his form before finally exploding with a massive blast of wind. The puppets all fell to the ground lifeless and the remaining clones went to work in destroy what was left of them with explosive notes while the real Naruto kept his gaze on the still-standing Akatsuki agent. Damn. I never expected you to use such a jutsu. I can feel it, my body is falling apart, Sasori rasped out. That's what you get when your body into a puppet. And for the record. My jutsu isn't finished, if it was you would already be nothing but dust right now, Naruto told him. Sasori let a smirk form on his face fractured, you're something else Kyuubi Jinchuriki. I will soon die. Before that, I'll do something pointless for you, reward for defeating me. You know Orochimaru don't you? Naruto nodded unsure of where he was going with it, yes I'm planning on killing him. Sasori's smirk widened slightly, splendid. I have a spy in Otokuga no Sato. One of Orochimaru's personal henchmen. I was supposed to meet him at the Tenchi Bridge in 10 days at noon, it looks like I won't be able to. Why are you telling me this? Naruto asked him. Because it's something pointless, Sasori answered before his body shattered into dust and drifted off a moment later. Naruto clenched his fist and stood in place for 20 seconds before a column of light erupted from the destroyed container which once held Sasori's only human component, his heart. An object hovered in place for a moment before flying at high speeds directly into Naruto's hands, causing him to skid back a little. The blonde shook himself a moment later and looked down at the object in his hands. It was a brown crystal necklace which gave him the feeling of a slow-moving wind around him. The prophecy draws near, 3 of 6, Sage. What is this? Naruto asked looking around and then back at the necklace in his hands. You are. Destiny. Child of prophecy, last hope. Just who are you? Naruto asked the voice. No longer needed, Moon. Biju. After a few minutes of silence it was clear that Naruto wasn't going to get any answers and put the necklace around his neck just like he did with the other two he had gotten. He turned away a moment later and took off into the trees in the direction of Suna knowing that his teammates were no doubt in that general direction. Wind Country, Northern Forest. Yugito and Tayuya had been pursuing the airborne Akatsuki member for the better part of 15 minutes now and could still hear the distinctive sound of explosions coming from behind them where they knew was fighting this man's partner. Above them Deidara flew atop his clay dragon and sneered back at them as he banked higher into the air above the small valley. Tayuya get ready, Yugito told her as she ignited her arm in flames. Your move bitch, the redhead responded with a grin. Kaiten, Daikeizuki. Deidara's eyes widened in surprise as a long blade of fire extended out towards him. He tried to maneuver around it but was unable to dodge in time and it sliced clean through his arm causing him to gasp in pain. That bitch, she just took off my right arm, Deidara growled in thought before sensed a presence behind him. He turned swiftly to see Tayuya descending towards him with her fist cover in lightning, damn it. Chidori. The redhead called out as Deidara jumped away. Tayuya cut right through the clay dragon and the two ninja dropped down into the trees below. Are you okay Tayuya? Yugito asked as she appeared at her side. Just fucking great, the redhead responded. You two brats are pissing me off, Deidara growled at them. We'll kick your ass bastard, Tayuya shot back. You kill innocent people and think you can get away with it. Don't even think that for a second, Yugito told him. If by innocent people you mean you Jinchuriki, let me tell you something. We've captured 2 of them already, not including that red-haired brat of a Kazekage, and in both cases they were disgusting creatures who hated everything and were hated themselves. No one lifted a finger to help them or defend them, people were actually glad to see them go, Deidara said with a grin. All monsters don't deserve to live, just like you. Tayuya looked over at Yugito and saw the stone expression on her face. The redhead turned back to their opponent and shouted in anger, who are you to decide who should live and who should die? Seems to me that you're the only monster here bastard. Tayuya stop, Yugito told her before she could rush forward. The blonde Kunoiki looked over at the Akatsuki agent again and said simply, if anyone doesn't deserve to live here it's you. Deidara scoffed at her, whatever you say demon. You're too careless, Yugito commented with a smile that belonged on a predator. Deidara turned swiftly as he felt a figure drop in from behind him. It was another Yugito with her arm covered in flames. Keizuki. she exclaimed as she sliced her jutsu through the Akatsuki member's other arm and severed it from his body. You bitch. Deidara roared and made to kick her. Chidori, Tayuya whispered as her lightning-covered fist tore through the man's back in a spray of blood. And no, Deidara rasped out as Tayuya removed her hand. He fell to the ground a moment later. ... He didn't get up. That was too easy, Tayuya said simply. I know, he must have run out of clay when he fought Kazekage-sama, Yugito mused, remembering what they were told about the man while in Suna. She checked the man's pulse just to make certain he was dead. ... There was none. What do we do now? Tayuya asked her. We meet up with Yamato and the others, a voice said from behind them. They turned quickly before relaxing when they saw it was an exhausted Naruto. Are you two alright? We're fine. The guy was pretty much out of chakra and weapons to throw at us. I think we can thank Kazekage-sama for that, Yugito told him. Yeah, the fucker went down in only a few moves, Tayuya agreed. ... Akatsuki have 3 of the Biju in their possession now, including the Ichibi, Yugito informed him. Naruto sighed and nodded. Let's get out of here. He sealed away the body and the 3 took off into the trees once again. Wind country, plain. The 3 arrived on the grassy open plain where they came across the sight of an alive Gaara surrounded by dozens of Sunanins, including Temari and a now healed Kankuro, along with Yamato and what looked like an unconscious Chio. The group saw them approach and they made their way to the center where Gaara stood giving his respects to Chio. Gaara, Naruto asked upon reaching the former Ichibi Jinchuriki. I am alive, Uzumaki. Chio Abakan saved me, Gaara answered his unasked question. What happened? He asked the Kazekage. ... She gave her life for mine, Gaara replied as he gazed upon the woman who died to bring him back. She gave me a message to give to you. ... She said that the world will always belong to the younger generation. Naruto didn't know what to say to that. We must return to Suna, everyone move out. Gaara turned and started away, but he fell forward since his legs were still adjusting to his control again. Naruto and Kankuro grabbed his arms and helped him walk. The rest of the group followed close behind as they set off towards the direction of Suna. Wind country, Suna, main entrance. Upon their return to Suna, the Kazekage was taken to the hospital and Yugito attended to him since she was the most skilled medic there. Even without the Ichibi sealed within him, Gaara still had some lingering abilities that the demon had. Most notably were his ability to control sand and quick recovery rate. 2 days after they returned to Suna, Gaara was allowed to leave the hospital and return to his duties as Kazekage. The villagers celebrated his return and of course Team Naruto was forced to attend at Gaara's request. Finally, on the 3rd day it was time for the team to leave for Konoha after receiving recall orders via Messenger Hawk. Well, I guess this is where we part ways, huh? Naruto asked the young Kazekage. ... Thank you for everything you've done for me, Uzumaki-san, Gaara said, holding out his hand. Naruto took it. It's Namika's now actually. Tayuya is an Uzumaki. A flash of surprise crossed Gaara's face, but he nodded after a moment. I see, do be careful on your journey. Hey, it's me, Naruto said indignantly. That's why I worry, Gaara grunted. Akatsuki now has 3 of the Biju. They will come after you and Nissan soon. We'll be ready, Naruto told him. I hope you are, Gaara nodded and took a step back. Come on, let's go. I want to be back in Konoha in 3 days, Naruto said to his team and turned away. Hey, wait for me, Tayuya called as she took off after him. Kazekage-sama, Yugito bowed before following. If you find out anything about Akatsuki, please send a message to the Hokage, Kazekage, Yamato said and soon followed after them. What do we do now, Gaara? Temari asked her brother. ... We prepare, Gaara said as he turned and entered the village. Fire country, Konoha, Hokage Tower. ... Is the information reliable? The Hokage asked the team standing in front of his desk. He didn't strike me as someone who would send us on a wild goose chase. He wanted Orochimaru dead as much as we do and seemed to generally want me to kill him. Besides, even if it is a trap, we can fight our way out of it, Naruto continued. ... Are you sure you want to go through with this, Naruto? Yugito. Kakashi asked the 2 blondes. Yugito nodded in reply. We need to do this. Sasuke and Sakura have to answer for the things they've done. We need to confront them, Naruto told him. Kakashi nodded slowly. I see, very well then. Go. Confront this Akatsuki spy and if possible retrieve Sasuke and Sakura. Naruto nodded at the orders. Thank you. There is one thing before you go. I'm adding a new member to the team. Sai, come in, Kakashi said, and the door opened to reveal a pale Anbu without a mask. Hello, I am Sai. The newcomer greeted them with a clearly fake smile. Quote. Sensei, Naruto asked, turning to the Hokage. Kakashi sighed. I had to compromise with the village elders concerning you and Yugito. In exchange for allowing you both to continue your missions, the leader of the Root Anbu, Danzo, wanted one of his men on your team. Sai is the one he selected. Senpai, I hope you know what you're doing, Yamato thought when he saw the boy. What is with that smile? It's clearly fake. Yugito narrowed her eyes at him. He's hot, but that smile is plain creepy. Mayor, who am I to judge? Were Tayuya's thoughts on the matter? Danzo. Ero-Sennin warned me about him. I need to be careful with this one, Naruto thought and turned back to the Root Anbu. Welcome to the team, he said with a nod. Sai merely gave his signature smile. It is a pleasure to be working in the service of Konoha. I hope you can lead well, Dickless. Quote. I'm gonna kill him, Naruto said simply and cracked his knuckles. I'm going to Ramegakure no Sato, Jiraiya said clearly as he looked across the desk at the Hokage. They could have been lying, Kakashi suggested. Jiraiya just shook his head. If the leader of Akatsuki really is Nagato, then I need to find out for certain. He was one of my students, Kakashi. If it were Minato instead, would you be second-guessing my actions? Quote. No, I wouldn't, Kakashi admitted. Then at least take a small team with you, he continued. Again the Gamma Sennin shook his head. This requires stealth. A full squad of ninja aren't going to be able to infiltrate AM. To get in unnoticed I need to go alone. Quote. Fine, go, Kakashi sighed and leaned back in his chair. Thank you, Jiraiya bowed and left a moment later. Nobody was prepared for what would happen on that particular mission. Fire-Grass Country, border. The now 5-man team had spent the rest of the day on the road to Grass Country, where they would meet the Akatsuki spy and hopefully get some useful information from him. Sai, if you call me Dickless one more time, I swear to Kami that I will kick your ass, Naruto growled at the Root Anbu. Sai simply smiled. My apologies, Naruto-san. I was just offering my opinion on your ability to lead the team. Well, you're what we normal ninja call an asshole. I swear you're worse than Sasuke on his worst days, Naruto grunted in annoyance. Quote. If you say so, but let me point out 2 important details in your logic. Uchiha Sasuke is a traitor who abandoned the village, and so is Haruno Sakura. I am not a traitor like they are, Sai explained with his smile. Well, your personality could do with some work, Tayuya quipped. Sai smiled at her. And what personality do you think I should use? The redhead frowned at him. That's not something you can decide, Dickman. It comes naturally. Everyone has their own personality that defines them. And I suppose yours is the tough girl who curses a lot? Sai questioned. Tayuya nodded slowly in reply. What is with you anyway? You act like you don't know what emotions are. Sai smiled again. I don't have feelings. What do you mean you don't have feelings? Yugito was the one who asked. Sai turned to her and answered with a smile. Just like I said, I don't feel anything. Quote. Surely you must feel something. Tayuya inquired after a moment of silence. Sai just smiled. No, I don't feel anything. Naruto looked behind at the 3 other teens. He spoke after a moment of silence. Let's stop at the next town for the night. We can rest there and set off for the bridge tomorrow evening. The meeting isn't for another 3 days. What do we do until then? Tayuya asked. That's simple. We train and improve our teamwork. Even if the spy wasn't followed, we will still have to capture them, Naruto stated clearly. I know a few jutsu I can teach you all. They're Doton and Suten jutsu, Yamato spoke up and cast a look at the Nibi Jinchuriki. I am sorry, Yugito-san, but I do not know any Raiten or Kaiten jutsu. Yugito nodded in understanding. Don't worry about it, Yamato Teiko. I'm still working on a jutsu of my own anyway, so it's fine. Yamato Teiko, Naruto said, getting the man's attention. I heard from Hokage sensei that you can use Mokuton jutsu, right? The question surprised the others there. Yes, that's right. I prefer not to talk about how I received this particular power though, Yamato stated with a nod. Since the only person on record to have ever been able to use Mokuton Jutsu was the Shodai Hokage, I was wondering if it was possible to learn it, Naruto said over his shoulder. It's not something that can be taught. To even be able to use it correctly, you would need to have Senju blood flowing in your veins. And even then you might not be able to use it. I mean, look at Tsunade-sama. She's a Senju but she is unable to use Mokuton Jutsu, Yamato informed him. Quote, I actually have Senju blood flowing in me, Tayuya has too. We're both descended from the Senju clan from during the clan wars. There is also the fact that the Senju are descended from the Rikudo Sennin. Surprise flashed across the Anbu captain's eyes. It's not exactly public knowledge, but it's not like certain people don't already know that detail, he finished as he turned towards the root Anbu of the team. Danzo-sama is already fully aware of this information, Naruto-san, Sai stated with a smile. Quote, I thought so. Naruto knew there was nothing that got past that man. Alright, I'll try teaching you Mokuton Jutsu, but my skill pales in comparison to the Shodai Hokage. I may not be of much help, Yamato admitted. Some help is better than none, Yugito said with a shrug. Quote, Can you teach me those jutsus you used on the last mission? You know, the Rinnegan ones? Tayuya asked the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. If you do, I'll teach you one of my Rinnegan jutsus. I can't really use it right considering the chakra levels involved. What is it? Naruto asked her over his shoulder. A jutsu called Chibaku Tensei. Grass Country, Hitomi Town, Hot Spring. They arrived in town a day later and set themselves up in one of the many hotels there. After settling into a hotel, the team decided to pay a visit to the local hot springs. This decision set off an interesting chain of events. Well, that's enough male bonding for me. Before I go, Naruto, I think there is something you should know about Jiraiya-sama, Yamato said, getting out of the water. Naruto stopped his trek towards the barrier that separated the men and women baths. He turned and asked, what is it, Yamato Teiko? A very long time ago, when Jiraiya-sama was a small boy, he came very close to death once. He had 6 fractured ribs and both of his arms were broken. He suffered multiple ruptured internal organs too. Do you want to know what the reason was? Supposedly he was caught peeping on Tsunade and she beat the shit out of him. So before you hop out of the spring and take a peek over that fence, let me ask you something. What do you think Yugito-san would do in that same situation? Yamato's question made Naruto's face turn pale. Naruto watched as the Anbu captain set off towards the changing rooms, thinking about what the man had said. It would so be worth it, the blonde reasoned, and started towards the fence again. Ready to go back now, bitch? Tayuya asked. The female hot spring was empty except for the 2 of them and it was getting late. You go on ahead, I'll catch up, Yugito told her. The redhead looked at her friend for a moment before struggling and continuing on her way to the changing rooms. Yugito laid back again the edge of the spring and sighed in content as she looked out over the empty bath. She grabbed a towel and fastened it around her. A moment later she disappeared in a burst of speed. You should never try and peep on someone who can sense your exact location from a mile away. Naruto, who had been peeking through a man-made hole in the outside of the spring bath, blinked at seeing his fellow blonde just disappear. What do you think you're doing? Yugito asked from behind him, still dressed in only a towel. He yelped in surprise and suddenly remembered what Yamato had told him earlier. I'm not peeping. I mean, I'm sorry. Please don't kill me. He cowered. It was then that Yugito caught sight of what he was wearing, or lack thereof. Like her, he was only wearing a towel which covered his modesty like she had done for hers. She blushed and looked away as he did much the same. I'm not going to kill you, she said, still blushing. If you wanted to see me like this, then why you could have just asked, she stuttered out. Yeah. I'm sorry. I think I should go. He moved away. She grabbed his hand and stopped him. Yugito, he asked upon seeing her action. I know we've been busy lately, but do we have to keep dancing around the issue? She stuttered out the question. Can we just not stop? She asked him hesitantly. Yugito, he asked confused. Just this once, she leaned in and kissed him. She stopped a second later. Can we just be us? No mission, no attachment, no restraint, no Kumo, no Konoha, no Akatsuki, just us. He looked into her eyes. If you want. She kissed him again and the two were consumed with passion. Insert imagination. Grass Country, Hitomi Town, Hotel. The morning sun shone across the small town and into the room where the red-headed Rinnegan user slept. She groaned and turned over to avoid the sun. Even after burying her head in her pillow, she knew she wouldn't be able to sleep anymore and groggily sat up. She looked across at the futon Yugito was supposed to occupy but found it empty. The first thought that went through her head was that she didn't come back last night. The second thought was where she was, and her final thought plastered a grin on the redhead's face. There was only one other place Yugito would willingly sleep. Naruto's futon. That cat would only be with him. Then again, her brothers and her best friend's sex life was not really any of her business. Tayuya groaned and turned her attention the window. She blinked. Is that Dickman sitting out there? Tayuya asked herself when she saw the black figure of the Root Anbu sitting at the edge of the balcony a few dozen meters away. She quickly got dressed and left the room. Sai sat at the edge of the balcony in a cross-legged position with a sketchpad in hand. He made no facial expression as he finished yet another one of his drawings, but yet again couldn't find a name for it, just like the others he had made. I never figured you to be the artistic type, Dickman. He looked over his shoulder and saw Tayuya approach. Looks can be deceiving, Sai responded in monotone. Don't I know it? She chuckled bitterly. You know, for a guy who says he doesn't have any feelings, you sure do create a lot of shit like what's in your hand. Sai just smiled. The same could be said for you and your music. Fuck you, the redhead shot back. No one insulted her music, no one's sane anyway. She calmed herself a moment later. What's its name anyway? Excuse me, he asked politely. Your drawing, what's its name? Tayuya said as she gestured to the sketchpad in his hand. Quote. Honestly, whenever I try and give them titles, nothing good comes to mind, Sai admitted, still smiling. The right words escape me, and I just don't feel anything. The two fell into silence for a few seconds. If you don't feel anything, then what is this exactly? Tayuya asked him as she held out a small sketchbook. That's. Sai trailed off and took the book from her hands. It isn't finished yet, because it belongs to my brother. Oh, where's your brother now? The redhead asked him. Dead. His answer stopped her response cold. Quote. Then that's more reason for you to actually feel something, Tayuya told him. And what expression would I need to make? Sai asked with a smile. She didn't have an answer. Hey, you two. Yamato called from the hotel entrance. We're leaving now. Go get your things and meet us at the Eastern Plaza. Yes, sir. They both nodded in understanding. Good, you're both here. Now we're just waiting for Naruto-san and Yugito-san. Where are they exactly? Yamato asked, annoyed at their absence. Hey, Naruto called as the two blondes approached. Isn't it a great morning? He asked and sighed in content. Tayuya looked over at Yugito and the two locked eyes for a minute. The moment Yugito turned away, a large smirk stretched across the redhead's lips as she looked at the Kumo Jonin. You two didn't come back last night, and you look like someone who just had an amazing fuck. Tayuya whispered to her. How was he? He's your brother, Yugito growled back, clearly embarrassed. That's not something you should be asking me. The redhead just kept grinning. That good, I see. Shut up, the Nibi Jinchuriki hissed. You seem to be in a good mood this morning, Yamato commented upon seeing the team leader. Naruto rolled his shoulders back and a few knots were cracked. And why wouldn't I be? It is a beautiful day and soon we'll be able to complete this mission. Yamato raised an eyebrow at the declaration, but after a moment merely shrugged and turned away. Sai had other plans, however. Was she disappointed in your sexual relations with her? Naruto shot him a glare. No, and shut up already. It was one of those days. Grass Country, Tenchi Bridge. Sasori, the hooded figure greeted. Sasori examined the Akatsuki spy as he removed his hood. How the time flies. It was Yakushi Kabuto. No tail? Sasori's gruff voice asked. None, I assure you, Kabuto confirmed. How do you feel? It was a simple question. There remains some disorientation from when your jutsu dissolved, and I started remembering who I really was, but it'll pass. Kabuto informed. How many questions? Sasori asked him. There isn't much time, so please be quick. I've risked my life coming here, Kabuto said nervously. Uchiha Sasuke, where is he? Sasori questioned. There are several hideouts, but these change from week to week, so his location cannot be pinpointed. Some are in countries outside of sound that Orochimaru's spies have infiltrated and maintain for us. But there is no set transfer plan or pattern. We're currently laying low at a safe house on a small island in the northern lake, but we'll be moving in 3 days' time. Uchiha Sasuke is also there right now, Kabuto answered. Suddenly there was a rustle in the bushes behind him and he threw a kunai at it. After a moment a small rabbit jumped out and he let out a sigh of relief. Just a rabbit. Kabuto turned and continued, so regarding the matter you asked me to look into. Even after Orochimaru transfers bodies he puts up a protective barrier on the cell specimens from the old host body, so I have not been able to analyze them. I see, Sasori nodded at the information. After a moment Kabuto said almost in panic, look, this is taking too long. If Orochimaru discovers I met with you, death will be the least of my worries. You know what I want. Now give it to me. Very well, Sasori conceded and reached into his cloak. A moment later he pulled out a kunai and a figure appeared behind Kabuto. Interesting conversation. Do you mind if we join you? Orochimaru asked sinisterly as Sasori and Kabuto jumped away from him. If you hadn't pulled out your kunai, Sasori, I wouldn't have gotten away in time, Kabuto admitted with shaky breath. Your garbs bring back memories, Sasori, Orochimaru said with a smirk. Did you follow Kabuto? Sasori questioned. Oh come now, I just wanted to say hello and thank you for sending me this one, he's been so handy to have. Every time I develop a new jutsu I need at least 100 human bodies to experiment on. Thanks to Kabuto's medical ninjutsu I get to use them over and over again. There's such a shortage of volunteers, you know, Orochimaru explained as 2 well-known figures appeared at his side. One was a dark-haired male wearing white and black clothing with a katana strapped horizontally to his back. The other wore a pink and red outfit to match her pink hair. Upon closer inspection these 2 individuals were Uchiha Sasuke and Haruno Sakura, Nukanons of Konohagacha no Sato. Kami, there they are, Yugito whispered from the tree line behind Sasori. I couldn't sense them until they were right on top of him, she gritted her teeth at the situation. Don't worry about it, Yugito. We knew that this might be a trap, Naruto told her. Suddenly Kabuto's hand became a blur of blue energy as he sliced through Sasori and revealed the occupant inside it. Yamato jumped back and was met with a wave of snakes which grabbed him and bit down on him. He turned to wood and shattered a moment later as the real him dropped down further away from the newcomers and Kabuto. I don't understand, Kabuto, you're supposed to be an Akatsuki spy under Sasori's sleeper jutsu, Yamato said, confused at the situation. I'm afraid your intelligence is a little out of date. Orochimaru-sama removed the problem a long time ago, Kabuto stated clearly. So you were just pretending to be under Sasori's jutsu while you were really under Orochimaru's jutsu instead, Yamato mused. Wrong again, I'm afraid. Orochimaru-sama and I share a common philosophy. I'm with him of my own free will, Kabuto declared. Who are you anyway? You ruined out plans for Sasori, he asked. Patience, Kabuto, all will be revealed in due time. Starting with the 3 rats hiding behind Papa Rat here, Orochimaru said with a grin. Yamato motioned forward and 4 figures blurred down in front of him. Why am I not surprised to see you, Naruto-kun? Naruto, Yugito, Sakura said upon seeing her former teammates. Dobe, Demon Woman, Sasuke said unimpressed. It's been a long time, Sasuke, Sakura, Naruto spoke as he examined the 2 Nukanon. I see you've been doing well for yourselves, huh, traitors? Yugito asked as she gave them both a once-over. Well, isn't this a happy reunion? Orochimaru asked with a sadistic smirk on his face. And here I was hoping to fight my old partner Sasori, but instead you brats show up. Well, that explains Papa Rat over there. Of course he would be on your team, huh, Naruto-kun, Yugito-chan. He mused as he looked over at Yamato. Sasuke's eyes morphed into his Sharingan and Naruto looked over at him. A moment later everything around him changed. Naruto's Mindscape, Jinchuriki seal. It was dark and damp when Sasuke entered the sewer-like mind of his former friend and rival. He looked impassive as he entered what was clearly the main room where the Kyuubi's cell was located. He looked up at the beast and it took notice of him. The water in front of the cage came together to form a large fox head and it glared at the newcomer. And Uchiha dares to step into my presence. Know your place, abomination, for you are in the presence of a god, Kyuubi growled at him. A god? More like a pet, Sasuke smirked as the fox roared. You should respect your betters, abomination, you are only here thanks to those things you have for eyes. A product of your cursed bloodline, Kyuubi sneered at the Uchiha. Sasuke merely looked at him with a neutral expression. It seems this isn't your first encounter with these eyes. You really don't know anything, do you, abomination? Even with those eyes you still cannot see through your hate. It is fitting, I suppose. Your chakra is vile and reminds me of Uchiha Madara. Make no mistake, abomination. You have no power here, Kyuubi said with a sinister smirk. Do not underestimate the power of the Uchiha clan, Sasuke started. I just need to suppress your power, sir. I don't need to deal with it outside. Your hatred has blinded you, I see. How do you plan on accomplishing such a task? Your will has always been inferior to my containers, Kyuubi taunted. The dobe is irrelevant, Sasuke said as he stepped forward and made to grab the fox head by the nose. He was stopped, however, when someone grabbed his outstretched hand. What? Team, you do know that your dojutsu is nothing but a bastardized version of the Rinnegan, don't you? Do you really think you can enter the head of a Rinnegan user and do whatever the fuck you want? Get over yourself. Naruto blew the Uchiha away from the fox. Sasuke crashed into the wall and gritted his teeth in anger. You. The last time we fought I could have killed you. I didn't want to, but I could have. I thought we were friends, team, but clearly I was wrong. Looking at you now I see that. Last time I only spared your life on a whim. And now I'll take it on a whim, Naruto declared. Now get out of my head. He shouted and blew Sasuke out of his mind. How much did you hear, boy? The Kyuubi questioned his jailer. Naruto turned to the fox head. All of it. You got some explaining to do, fox. Who the fuck is Madara and why did you keep calling Sasuke an abomination? Hey, it seems that sister of yours is rubbing off on you. You'll find out the truth in due time, boy. The fox chuckled as it turned into water again and moved back into its cage. Where were you anyway? You just let him enter here and make it all the way into this room before finally stopping him. Why? While he was in my mind, I was in his, Naruto answered truthfully. He grinned. I now know exactly where over 47 of Orochimaru's bases are, both in grass and sound countries. Even now you continue to amuse me, Naruto, just like he did. The Kyuubi chuckled darkly as his crimson eyes glowed in the darkness behind the bars. But do not think for a second I will bow before you like I did to him so long ago. We are still enemies, never forget that, boy, and do not think for a second that I will not eventually be free of this seal. You can try, fox, Naruto said as he turned away. But for now you owe me rent, were his final words before disappearing through the archway. Even now you act like him. I suppose it's fitting that my second jailer is the successor of my first jailer, the Kyuubi mused as he was left alone once again. Grass country, Tenchi Bridge. Sasuke turned his head away and rubbed his eyes. Sasuke-kun. Sakura asked worriedly. Never try to enter my mind again, team. Next time I will do more than throw you out, Naruto said, clearly having returned to the land of the living as well. How do you want to play this, Naruto? Yugito asked her fellow blonde. We'll take them on separately, Naruto told her and the rest of the team. Yugito, you take Sasuke, and Yamato, you take Sakura. Tayuya and Sai, you two take Kabuto. What about you? Tayuya asked him. Orochimaru is mine, Naruto responded. The Otokage smirked in amusement. Do you really think you can win here, Naruto-kun? We'll do more than win, we'll kill you, Naruto replied clearly. Shunpo no Jutsu, in a flash of yellow he appeared before the Otokage with a chest-sized ball of chakra in hand. Udama Rasengan. He called out as the jutsu connected and blew everything in range into the air. Orochimaru landed on one of the trees, clearly missing his left arm and still smirking at the blonde Konoha Jonin. A moment later a pair of hands erupted from his mouth and stretched his mouth open to allow another Orochimaru to emerge completely unharmed. You have the Kyuubi and the Rinnegan and that is the best you can do. Pathetic, the Otokage taunted as he threw away his damaged body and smirked at the blonde once again. I killed Sasori, so I will kill you too, Naruto snarled at him. Orochimaru raised an eyebrow at that piece of information. You called Sasori. Hey, interesting, you're still very amusing, Naruto-kun, but you're still not in my or Sasuke-kun's league. He held up his hands and dozens of snakes shot out towards Naruto, Sene Tajishu. Naruto saw them coming and formed several quick hand seals. Futon, Renkuden. He inhaled a large breath and then exhaled a massive blast of wind which shredded snakes and cut through the trees in its line of fire. The wind bullet detonated in a massive blast and leveled a good 80-foot radius around where it exploded. Orochimaru lay down on the ground of the now smooth surface with a smirk still on his face. Mindara no Jin, dozens if not hundreds of snakes erupted from Orochimaru's mouth and slithered towards the blonde Konoha Jonin. Each snakehead had a blade of some kind pointing out of their mouths and was no doubt ready to slash and or stab their target. Damn, that is a lot of snakes. I have no choice but you use that jutsu. This guy is as strong as Ero Sennin when he's serious, Naruto thought as he formed several hand seals. Mokuton, Taju Daijuran no Jutsu, Naruto threw out both of his arms and they turned into wood right before his eyes. Surprise flashed over Orochimaru's features and he lost his smirk as the wood seemed to expand and sharpen until there were hundreds of wooden spikes. The snakes were impaled and otherwise slaughtered under the hail of wooden spikes. When it was over, the wood severed from Naruto's body and his arms returned to normal as Orochimaru stood up, no longer amused. How can you use the Shodai Hokage's jutsu? The Otokage demanded. It was Naruto's turn to smirk. You don't know your history that well, do you? The Senju and the Uchiha clans both descended from the Rikudo Sennin and by proxy the Rinnegan. The Rinnegan was responsible for creating jutsu and discovering chakra, so of course I can use it. It doesn't matter to you though, since you'll be dead by the end of the day. We'll see, Orochimaru sneered. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, two shadow clones popped into existence beside the blonde Konoha Jonin and he held out his hand towards them. Oh dear, this is unfortunate, Orochimaru thought worriedly as he saw the two clones concentrate chakra and the distinctive sound of a bell-like screech filling the air. He bit his thumbs and formed several hand seals. A second later he slammed his hands into the ground, Kuchios, Sanju Rashomen. Three massive demonic gates rose up from the ground in front of him. That should hold him, he mused. Naruto jumped forward towards the massive gates and slammed his jutsu into it. Futon, Raisin Shuriken. The first gate completely shattered the moment the jutsu touched it, the second didn't fare any better and the third one was only able to hold itself together for half a second before it crumbled under the pressure of the attack. Orochimaru's eyes widened as Naruto rammed the jutsu into midsection and he was blown back. The chakra shuriken expanded and encased the Otokage in a ball of spinning wind and power. He screamed in pain as every nucleus in his body was slashed and destroyed by the jutsu until it finally exploded in a blast of wind. Orochimaru fell into the center of the newly formed crater and writhed in pain from the blow. I win, Orochimaru, Naruto said simply. No, I refuse to be beaten by a failure like you. The Otokage snarled as his body exploded upwards. Yamata no Jutsu. Orochimaru roared as his body changed into the shape of a massive snake with 8 heads. What the hell is that thing? Naruto asked out loud when he saw the monstrosity. Die. Orochimaru screeched from one of the mouths as 2 of the heads came down on the blonde. What the hell is this? Naruto thought as he dodged the 2 large snake heads that tried to eat and or crush him. He turned himself into a giant snake with 8 heads. How the hell do I hurt him now? Think, damn it, think. He rolled under one of the necks and formed several hand seals. A moment later, trees exploded from the ground and lifted the massive snake into the air. Mokuton Haijutsu, Jukai Koten. The abilities of the Shodai Hokage will not save you here, boy. The heavy Sennin roared at him and broke from of the man-made forest. I haven't mastered Chibaku Tensei yet, and that's the only jutsu I know that could do the kind of damage that's needed. Futon, Renkuden might be able to slow him down, but eventually he'll get me, Naruto thought as he tried to calm himself. Die already, boy. Orochimaru shouted as 5 of the snake heads struck as one. I have to dodge, Naruto thought as he lunged out of the way. He managed to escape certain death, but one of the snake heads caught him in the side and sent him crashing into the forest. Crap, what the hell hit me? I think all of my ribs just broke. He groaned in pain and shakily managed to stand again. He looked up and saw that the snakeheads were ready to finish the job. Damn it, there's nothing I can do. You have interfered in my plans too many times. Kindly die, Orochimaru sneered and the heads struck. Crimson light exploded from Naruto and the heads were forced to back off as a vile chakra washed over the area. What followed was a massive shockwave dozens of feet tall and at least 5 miles wide. Trees and the earth itself were blown away by the sheer power that was unleashed. When the shockwave died down, the entire area was reduced to one large crater with a figure crouched down on all fours at its center. It was a crimson chakra fox with 4 tails swishing behind it. The chakra was so condensed that you couldn't even see who was in it. Oh dear, this is unfortunate, Orochimaru commented as he backed away slightly. The cubified Naruto roared as it threw out its hand and the chakra claw shot out towards the Otokage. The 8 heads of Orochimaru slithered out of the way as the massive chakra claw tried to catch him. Having initially missed its target, the chakra claw released another 2 chakra claws from its arm and they aimed to catch one of the heads of the Otokage. Alright then, let's try this, Orochimaru sneered as one of the heads turned and opened, releasing a batch of snakes at the chakra claws. They melted almost instantly upon contact with the claws. Oh dear, he smirked and sent one of his heads to attack Naruto directly. The cubified Naruto saw the approaching attack but was unable to evade as the head struck down on him, blowing up a batch of the earth as it happened. Almost instantly the head and by proxy the rest of the neck was slashed clean off as Naruto tore through it. You're not even conscious, are you, Naruto-kun? Orochimaru sneered as he tried to pull back. Naruto wouldn't have any of that. A claw of chakra erupted from his chest and hit the ground right in front of the large, now 7-headed snake. A moment later Naruto was pulled by the claw and Orochimaru's eyes widened in horror as he brought his fist down on yet another one of his heads. There was an echoing blast as the forest around the pair was blown away from the impact. Damn you. Why won't you just die already? Orochimaru shouted in anger as hundreds of small snakes streamed out of the 6 heads that he had left. Naruto paid them no heed as brought his hand up and then down, sending out a massive shockwave which completely annihilated over 400 snakes. Once it was over he roared and dozens of blue and red balls of chakra erupted from his body. His 4 tails came to a stop directly in front of him and the balls all merged into a single sphere at the center. Now what? The Otokage knew he wouldn't get an answer. His eyes were narrowed as he tried to move away. Contact with chakra so dense would kill even me. The chakra sphere compressed itself into a smaller ball and Naruto swallowed it a moment later. How do you plan on fighting while weighed down by all that chakra, Naruto-kun? His answer came when Naruto's fox body expanded into a ball and then expanded again after a few seconds, so that's how. I need to get away now. Orochimaru tried to cancel his jutsu but knew he didn't have enough time. Yonbaiko Imari, it came as nothing but a scratchy whisper as the chakra ball exploded from Naruto's mouth. No. Orochimaru yelled in fear before his world was consumed in light. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.